This football team is starting to resemble 17. It's starting to resemble 17 in what aspect? Your O-line and now your D-line are almost comparable. I said, you'll have to wait until 3 o'clock Eastern time on Monday. And I'm going to give you my perspective on what I saw this past weekend, plus the age. And by the way, I'm not just going to look at the draft. You can't just do that. You have to look at the entire offseason for Howie Roseman. You have to look at the entire offseason. And then you put in perspective where the Eagles are right now coming out of the draft and free agency. Still free agency. By the way, the deal with the Honey Badger, Saints came in with a bigger offer, outbid the Eagles. He's a Saint. This is exactly what happened in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson had told the Cleveland Browns that he had no interest in going to Cleveland until Cleveland came back and gave him $230 million in guaranteed money. Everybody's going to be interested in that, my friends. Money talks here. Remember, Honey Badger has his ring. Now he's going to go back home and play with the Saints. Makes sense. Don't begrudge a guy for taking the money. This is something that the Kansas City Chiefs didn't want to do. So if you're the Eagles, are you disappointed? Yes, because that was an area of need that you could have addressed more. And obviously, at all in the offseason, you needed to address that. And we'll hit on what they did address and not address. But for all in all, this was going to come down to a money thing for Honey Badger. All of this is the story for the Eagles in the offseason here, which has been pretty impressive. Please hit the like button. By the way, Philly 500, bottom of the hour, Gary Cobb from Fox 29 in Philadelphia in hour number 2 at 4:30 Eastern time. So you're going to be able to get all your spins in, and we're going to hear other people's perspective. Fans' view, also a media expert, and his view, Gary Cobb, that'll be in hour number 2. There's no question this offseason, the Eagles look at it like this. Take a look at the NFC East first here. The Cowboys have walked backwards, okay? Washington has a bridge quarterback in Carson Wentz. The Giants have not picked up the fifth-year option on Daniel Jones. What does this all entail? There's an opening for the Eagles to cement themselves these next 2 years with this year's draft and offseason and next year's draft and offseason on really being the team to beat and continuing to dominate the NFC East since 2000. 14 playoff wins, all of that. This continues that trend. And the one thing different from the 17 Super Bowl team that the Eagles are trying to do now, they're trying to pour more cement and have a better foundation so that they don't see and have a repeat on what happened 4 years after you win a Super Bowl. You're a 4-win team. That's where they are right now. Okay? Let's take a look at this for a second here. I'm going to ask you this question here. Then we'll get into the draft, I promise you guys. The 2022 Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, quarterback. Miles Sanders. A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith. Quez Watkins. Dallas Goedert. Jordan Mailata. Landon Dickerson. Jason Kelsey. Isaac Samulo. Lane Johnson. Give me your thoughts on what you would give that offense. First and foremost, before we're talking about as an NFL, first talk about the grade. There's 2 grades here. Look at that offense and tell me what that offense sounds like to you first in the NFC East. First in the NFC East. What would you give that? Is that the best roster in the NFC East for offensive players? How do you look at this squad here on offense? Jeremiah says A, top 10 potential, top 5. One above all, Isaac. Thank you. Best in the East, sky's the limit. Troy says, hell yeah. Best offense in the NFC East, balanced and talented. That's a great take by Tone. Tone, that's a great take. You can run the ball, and you're going to be, I think, a very effective football team on third down with A.J. Brown being on the team. Okay? Okay? How do you look at this? By the way, Mrs. Hertz, I want to thank you for coming aboard each and every single day watching the show. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you. And I got to tell you, I didn't think the Philadelphia Eagles were going to give your kid an opportunity to succeed. They are now. I did not think Jalen had a chance. Okay? I did not think he had a chance. He does now. Here's your defense. Ends in a 43. Hassan Reddick. Defensive tackle, Fletcher Cox. Javon Hargrave. And in the rotation, Jordan Davis. Kaiser White, linebacker, acquired from the Chargers. Nakobe Dean, drafted. And if he stays healthy, could be a Pro Bowler, which means you got a first rounder in the round 3. TJ Edwards. DBs, Darius Slay, Marcus Epps, R.B. Harris, Avonte Maddox. How's your defense look? How does your defense look now? What would you give that defense? By the way, would we not agree? Would we not agree they did improve the defense in this offseason now that you put Jordan Davis in that rotation? Okay? I would say that you probably need to do a little bit more work in the secondary. But as an overall group, offense and defense, what do you guys think of your football team now? I also tweeted something out I want to throw at you guys here. I think it's important. Look at your rotation and what it's going to be also. Your rotation now, when it comes to doing mixed packages, 34s and 43s, nickel and dime packages. Here is your rotation when you're talking about going out and having your first team. Josh Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Hassan Reddick, then Brandon Graham, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Derek Barnett. That's some rotation. That's some rotation. Is this football team good enough to get to the NFC Championship game? The one that I just said. Is it good enough to get you to the end? I'm going to get to the draft in a minute here. Is it good enough to get to the NFC Championship game? Yes. I think it is. But it is all going to come down to Jalen. It's going to come down to Jalen because I would say this to you. The Rams are formidable. And Brandon, I'm not saying that they're not going to need some help. How about this? Are they the favorites to win the NFC East? Are they the favorites to win the East? I think you are. I think you're the team to beat in the East now. That puts you in like the 5 or 6 seed. Okay? Which means you now have a chance to win a playoff game. Okay? You'd be playing a wild card team like Minnesota or someone like that. You have a shot. Now, one of those teams on the NFC West, the NFC West is loaded. It is absolutely loaded outside of Seattle. Okay? The 49ers, I still don't know what they're doing at quarterback. The Rams, they're the defending champions. Okay? Seattle, as I said, they're a train wreck. Arizona could beat it. Actually, Arizona could win the West with that offensive talent they have. I still think they didn't address the pass rusher when they let Chandler Jones go. But now the Eagles are in a conversation here. War of attrition is going to play a factor here. Okay? This football team is starting to resemble 17. It's starting to resemble 17 in what aspect? Your O-line and now your D-line are almost comparable. That's what won you a Super Bowl. That's what made you a scary opponent. That's what allowed you to kick the shit out of people. You dominated people. You beat people up. Hey, I don't need to go out and have a finesse team. The Eagles are not. The Eagles right now are a dominant at the point of attack football team. Again, you haven't been this way in 5 years. You're back. You're back to being an ass-kicking 2-unit football team, which you made your bones on for the last 22 years. You're back at it again. You're now strong at the point of attack. You may lose ball games this year, but you're not going to be in games like you were in Dallas last year, where you were not in the conversation. It was JV versus varsity. You are now in a fist fight. Every time you fight somebody, you can win. You can win. You can win. The Philadelphia Eagles offseason has brought back their identity of their Super Bowl run. That's what you hang your hat on. It's inspiring. Because do you know how great it is to show up at the NovaCare Center every single day when you're working out knowing this, that I could beat the living shit out of you any Sunday. You may hang more points on me one night, but you're going to need an ice tub when I'm done with you. That's what this team looks like to me now. You see that defensive line rotation? I'm pretty impressed with it. Because of today's salary cap and the way you can't keep loaded dudes on 2 units. The Giants have no unit. You got 2 front sevens now. You got depth in your O-line. You got leadership on your football team and in your locker room. And by the way, no whispering in corners here. There's none of that. I'm going to get to you guys here in a second. I promise you. I just want to get my take out here. What off-season pickup you think makes the biggest impact? Jordan Davis, A.J. Brown, Hassan Reddick, Nakobe Dean. You want to hear mine? I think the biggest impact that the Eagles had this offseason will be Nakobe Dean. You know why? Here's a guy that they said, hey, dude, everyone else on your Georgia Bulldog team was better than you. Excuse me? Yeah, everyone thought that. Walker, Wyatt, Davis, Kine, all the rest of the players. And they said that you were there and you weren't really always healthy, even though you were the leader of the group. You imagine having a lumberyard on your shoulder like that? I'm going to take a kid where everyone doubted him. I love those players. And he was coached so well. He's NFL ready. You come out of Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, places like that, you're NFL ready, my friends. You're NFL ready. You are NFL ready. My opinion, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to go through the draft right now. I think the Philadelphia Eagles got a first-round draft choice in the third round. So over the next 2 years, basically, you would have drafted 5 first-rounders. I think this kid is that guy. I said it earlier in the whole draft process. I promise, guys, I'm going to get to you. Hey, Carson Strong, please, let's put that over to the right. Carson Strong is not in the conversation right now. He's not in the conversation. I don't care about some free agent quarterback that you're bringing in here. Could care less. Hope he turns out to be somebody great like Tony Romo. Really, I'm not kidding. Be great. But I don't care. I'm looking at these guys right here. Carson Strong has no bearing on your football team of 2022. These 22 men do. The draft. 3 days. As I told you at 15, I said that if Jordan Davis was between 11 and 14 and Thibodeau or Sauce Gardner were in that conversation there, you should trade up if you can to go up and get him. And they did. They did exactly what I said they would, and they land their guy. My problem would be this, okay? Is he going to be the pass rusher that he wasn't at Georgia? Know this about Jordan Davis. Don't expect him to come in and have 10 sacks. That's not who this player is. This player is going to come in, control the line of scrimmage, allow the linebackers to scrape and make a lot of plays, and he's going to bring eternal pressure so that the ends are able to make plays, keep everything boxed and contained, set the edges. You can't set the edges on a defense unless you're strong up the middle. And that's what they've done with this pick. If you're expecting Jordan Davis to roll in here and get 10 sacks, this is not a Ndamukong Suh. He is not a Ndamukong Suh, okay? When Suh came out in Nebraska, Suh was one of the highest-rated defensive tackles, and he had 10 sacks, in my opinion. I think it was maybe first or second year when he was in Detroit. He is not a Ndamukong Suh. That's not who this guy is. However, he is a talented football player that's going to make a difference on this football team, and he's one of the legitimate first-rounders. He's not a 10, 12 sack guy. He's a control the line of scrimmage guy. And I said this the other day to D. Gunn. Can you imagine having a number one run-stopping defense and a number one rushing offense in the NFL? You're beating people up. You're beating people up. Every Sunday, you're kicking the shit out of somebody. When you leave an Eagle game after 60 minutes of play with this group, you're going to need an ice bag. I saw people complaining about the Cam Jurgens deal. My friends, they probably looked at the next 2 center drafts and said, is Jason Kelce's replacement somewhere in here? Without a talented left tackle and center, as Barrett Brooks, you don't have a good group. And I love the fact that Jason Kelce was part of the process on evaluating the kid, and the front office listened. This is not a horrible pick. This is a transition pick. This is smart thinking. He is your quarterback on your O-line. That position is essential. You can plug a guy in to guard and tackle, not left tackle so much, but you can't plug a dude in the center. I know organizations, the Chargers, I was talking to Tom Telesco the other day about this. Do you know how long the Chargers looked for a replacement for Nick Hardwick after Hardwick retired? Almost 8 years they've been looking for a solid center. Having somebody there at that position is essential to you being a good football team. Left tackle center. You don't have it, you can't win. It's a huge sign. And if he turns out to be a 10-year starter, my God almighty, can they pick O-line? Can they pick O-line players in Philadelphia? Dean, you heard what I said. Dean falls because of injury concerns, not talent. Think about that for a minute. Well, concerned about his injuries. He's going to be in minicamp. He's going to be at the rookie symposiums. He's going to be at all of this. So you're hearing people throw that out, and it has nothing to do with ability. Okay? So if you're telling me that, and he's not hurt right now, and he hasn't had all these so-called surgeries, that was just noise. If you were going to tell me, the guy doesn't really cover tight ends well, he doesn't really run all that hot, then we have a concern. Nobody mentioned his ability. Nobody mentioned it. Kyron Johnson, the kid from Kansas, 6th round, and then the tight end in the 5th round, got some depth. Okay. Overall, I know more people wanted to see more picks, but if you're telling me, I give them a grade A- here on what they did. Okay? I'm not compromising anything. Hey, Chris, I don't compromise winning, dude, or championship football. I don't compromise anything. But I'm not going to sit here and say that they haven't had a good offseason here because I've been saying that Howie hasn't had a good offseason. Well, now that you put it all together and what they did in the draft and going out and getting A.J. Brown, I'd be an idiot. I would sound like Bayless banging on LeBron James for no reason after a guy won his 4th NBA title. You sound like a buffoon. You sound like a buffoon when you're hammering Aaron Rodgers. Guy just won his 2nd MVP. He's won 39 games in 3 years. Banging on that? You sound like an idiot. They had a great offseason. Okay? They've had a great offseason here. Let's start reading. We should be bashing Howie over this secondary. God, I love you guys. You know why I love you guys? Because you're never satisfied, and nor should you be. Yes, they need to address the secondary. That's why I was saying they wanted to get Honey Badger. Saints offered him up more money. Okay? Silz, am I crazy? I don't love using a 1 for a D lineman who isn't a pass rusher. That's the gamble. BF, that's the gamble. That is totally the gamble. Eagle fan, 1999, Hurts is the weakness. It doesn't matter the names on that list. If your quarterback sucks, so true. So true. Cal says Bayless is on drugs. His own drug. It's called ego syrup. Secondary, Chris, I agree, Chris. They need to address that secondary. Thoughts on Dean? Gino, I think they got a starter in the 3rd round and potentially a Pro Bowler in the 3rd round. I'm playing the guy until his wheels fall off. Keep talking to me about injury. I don't care about that. Play the kid. Dean's the steal of the draft period. Too many Wentz sympathizers. Who gives a shit about Carson Wentz right now? Carson Wentz is on a football team with a chaotic owner. Going nowhere. 400 passing a game? Absolutely not. Eagles landed. Jordan Davis can rush the passer, who is primarily asked to 2-gap. I don't want a 2-gapper. That's a waste of a draft choice. A 2-gapper? So I'm going to bring Jordan Davis into two gap and draft him in the top 15 picks? No way. No way. That's not an impact guy. Okay? And by the way, Wyatt and Walker were the pass rushers on that team, not him. Wyatt was actually asked to do more two-gapping. Excuse me, Walker was actually asked to do more two-gapping. That's why the sack total wasn't high. Call the hey, dude, Ocean, Razor. Dude, the Ravens, they just are just spectacular. They are spectacular in how they draft. Oh, and this just in. Joe Douglas of the Jets had his second great draft. I haven't seen the Jets draft this well, maybe in my lifetime. And Andrew Berry, I don't know, Andrew Berry, Joe Douglas, Howie, all those Eagle front office guys, I'll tell you what, man, they served their programs well this offseason. Look at what the Browns have done. Look at what the Jets have done. Look at what the Eagles are rebuilding. These are all people that came out of that front office. Got to give credit where credit is due here. Okay? You've got to give credit. This Carson Strong, okay, what do you want me to say about him? So are you going to move? You think Carson Strong is better than Gardner Minshew? Are you crazy? He's nowhere near that. He's nowhere near Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew could be the best passer on that team. Okay? He's got to beat Gardner Minshew out first. And there's no way he's beating him out. Patriot, appreciate you coming aboard. Please hit the like button, everyone. Philly 500 will be joining us soon. Carson Strong needs years to improve. I got to first see if the guy can read a defense first. Okay? Okay? I got to see if he can read a defense first. Strong is going to make the team. Okay? He's going to make the team. All right.